coming to you from the all-new Live House in Hollywood, California.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. In just a second, we'll do part 2 of the ultra-talented Phineas. But first, a couple of things. The final winner of the Axial Sweepstakes is in. Congratulations to Sebastian Jorde from Peru. We congratulate you, and thanks to all the winners and the good folks at IK Multimedia. We appreciate it. We've got more coming for you soon. Want to thank all the good folks at Atlanta Imstafesta. It was standing room only for our session. We shared some information, gave out a lot of prizes, and met a lot of friends. It was a good time, and great job to the people who put it on, Ray Williams and Nadia Adams. We thank you a lot. Remember to mark the masterclass from Grammy winner Richard Furch. 3 hours, 10 chapters, and 5 bonus videos that take you from first files to final mix. Richard's one of the early global mix guys, so this class features mega Asian star Gem and her smash Light Years Away. It even includes Chinese subtitles. The information can work on any kind of record, so feel free to use it. It's fun, it's easy, and whether producer, mixer, or songwriter, that one is for you. For more information, go to emixing.com, use the code Pensado for a little treat when you arrive, and you'll be good. Also, we want you to join our family, so sign up for the newsletter. Hit like and subscribe, and right here, click notify. We always welcome and appreciate you, that's for sure. Now, I got something I bet you didn't know.
What?
Who started Sweetwater?
Chuck?
Chuck Surratt. Chuck Surratt attended our NAMM keynote speech with Beth Laird and Luke Laird and Ross Copperman. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either till Atlanta. So he was standing in the back. Ray Williams told me at dinner. No, Chuck was there watching you. I was like, I didn't know. So hopefully we did well.
I think we did.
All right, cool. We'll give him a call and find out.
All right.
And on top of that, speaking of Sweetwater, our favorite correspondent, Mitch Gallagher, has done it again. He's put together a piece using the H-Delay plugin from Waves. Here is Sound Advice brought to you by Sweetwater.
Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. Welcome to Sound Advice. Today we're taking a look at delays. To demonstrate, I'll be using the Waves H-Delay plugin in Pro Tools. The two most important parameters with delay are, of course, delay time and feedback. Delay time sets how long it takes before you hear a repeat of the delay, so I've got it set for an eighth note right now. If we set that for a quarter note, the time will be twice as long. There are two different ways we can look at delay time in a delay plugin like this. The way we're looking at it right now is as a musical rhythm. We can also choose to look at this in milliseconds, so we can dial in exactly the number of milliseconds that we want. The feedback control sets the number of repeats that we hear. We're set for 0, which gives us 1 repeat. If we turn that up, there are several different ways we can configure our delay in our mixer. The way I've got it routed right now is I have a single channel with my snare hit, and I've got an aux bus that's feeding a mono delay. We could pan that off to the left, for example. We can also choose to use a stereo instance of our delay, and there are a couple different ways we can use that. The most common way to use it would be as a ping-pong delay, where the different delays are alternating left and right. This is a very common stereo effect. You hear it a lot on electric guitar as well as on other instruments. For example, here's that same effect with a piano. And with a string pad. Now the interesting thing here is that we've actually got a mono string pad, and with that stereo ping-pong delay, it creates a stereo pad effect for us. So if we mute the delay, now we'll hear it with the delay activated. An important feature of a lot of delays is being able to add modulation to the repeats. What modulation does is slightly shift the pitch of the repeats compared to the original sound. When you have a sustaining tone, like this pad that we're using, this gives us a chorus effect. So I'll bring up the modulation, just a little bit of depth and rate. This gives us a rich, wide effect. We can also filter the highs and the lows, which allows us to shape the tone of the repeats, again, compared to the dry original track. So let's turn our modulation off. We'll go to our piano. In this case, we have a full bandwidth delay, so we're hearing the exact same thing come back as it repeats. But we can raise the high-pass filter, which has the effect of cutting the lows. Let's set that to 250 hertz. And we can bring down the highs. Let's set that to 2500 hertz. And this will give us the effect of bandpassing those delays. This can be useful for creating special effects, but it's also useful for placing those delays so they sit in your mix properly. A lot of times just rolling some of the top end off will allow you to tuck those delays back in behind, add that sense of space, without having the delays call attention to themselves. With a ping pong delay, we're getting the same delay time in both the left and the right. It's just alternating from side to side. But we can get some very useful effects if we have different delay times on the two sides. Let's take a look at how to do this. Now, most stereo delays aren't going to allow you to set a different delay time on the left versus the right. So what I've done is created two mono tracks, inserted two mono delays, and then panned those left and right. I'm feeding them with the same bus. So this is my left H delay, which is set for an eighth note delay, and this is my right H delay, and it's set for a dotted eighth note delay. This is going to give us a rhythmic effect when we play through it. We could also set this to an eighth note triplet versus a straight eighth. This is great for creating rhythmic effects in stereo, as we heard with the snare drum, but with melodic and with sustained material, it gives us very lush stereo effects. Let's listen to the string pad with the same eighth note versus eighth note triplet setting. The other advantage to using two mono delays like this is we can modulate them differently. So let's set our eighth note delay to a light modulation, similar to what we had before. We'll set our eighth note triplet delay to slightly heavier modulation at a little bit faster rate. This creates an extremely lush effect. Now we can also filter those two delays independently. So if we bring down the bottom end here, bring down the top end here, it gives us some unique spatial effects that can work very well for positioning a sound in the mix. I hope you've enjoyed this quick look at some delay parameters as well as ways to use delays in stereo. With just these basic parameters of delay time, feedback, modulation depth and rate, and high pass and low pass filtering, we can really tailor our delay effects exactly the way that we want them in our mixes. Thanks for joining me for Sound Advice. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.
And as we promised at the top of the show, here's part 2 of our conversation with Phineas. The actor side of Phineas.
Yeah.
Glee. I enjoyed Bad Teacher.
I thought it was a funny movie.
I did too. I laughed at it. You like doing that? Still doing that?
Well, I loved doing it, and I never got to a place as an actor where I was like getting offered roles. Mm-hmm. I was always auditioning for stuff, which there's no shame in. But as a musician, your schedule gets kind of built out for you, and a lot of the time it's built way in advance.
Yes.
And I really love the reliability of that. I love knowing what I'm doing tomorrow. And I love like, let me check my calendar. As an actor, I never felt that way. It was always like, you free on Friday? And I was like, maybe.
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah. I haven't done an acting job in the last 2 or 3 years.
Did you train for it?
Yeah, my parents are both actors, and they did more theater in New York and then moved out to LA to have kids and to try to do more film and TV because there's more residual income in that world. They did a little bit of it. They mostly were carpenter. My dad's a carpenter and my mom's a teacher as far as like during our lifespan to keep food on the table. Does
that acting bone, does that help in your videos when you're doing videos and stuff?
I definitely think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it makes it feel like, definitely like more, I'm more conscious of what I am trying to do in the thing. I think sometimes, I'm assuming if I'd never acted, I'd get in front of a camera and I'd be like, let me do what I think I should do here. And I think having done enough acting, I sort of know that like what's different about it and like just—
how can I make it?
Yeah, knowing your angle and like,
exactly.
you know,
Absolutely.
Every actor wants to be a director. Do you want to direct your own videos?
No, I don't. Because it's an area where I would have to go through the period of being bad at it in order to get to, like, to me as
most actors, it doesn't bother them. It doesn't slow them down.
Well, they usually have a really good director of photography. But as a producer, like, only in the last, like, 18 months have I made productions that are the way that I hear them in my head. Mm-hmm. There was, like, 4 years before that of, like, trying to make productions every day where I was like, even if people like this is nothing like what I'm trying to get it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And I think
on a daily basis, actually.
I still feel that way all the time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sometimes you're just like, man, I would love to hire whoever did that other song I did to do this.
Well, you know what's interesting that you say in the last 18 months, because when you're talking about a career that's so compressed,
I know, it's so short.
It's amazing. So, for instance, when you go back to your sister's project, to Billie's project, were you guys just making music as a family? Was there an intention to get a record deal? Did somebody discover you? What was the process?
Well, it's a really good question. I think the main thing is that even though the totality of, like, my actual, like, lifespan is short compared to other people's lifespans, the several years before we had any sort of form of, like, success in the music world, and I mean success as, like, people buying our song, like one person buying our song,
right,
you know, any amount. I was still working the same amount to try to do it. It was all I wanted to do.
And her as well?
No, she was very young. She was like 8, 9, 10, 11. And she was really interested in dance classes and horseback riding, both things she's still really good at and loves doing. But she always had this beautiful voice. And at one point when I was, I guess, like 17, I thought it would be really fun to write something for her to sing, because she would sing covers of other people's songs. They were beautiful. And I was like, I'll write something for you. And I'll write it from, like, your perspective. And I wrote this song called She's Broken. That was like a sort of a thing she'd told me about, of like a story she read. I was like, this would be cool. And she sang it, sounded great. And I got to explore, like, a really different style of, like, at the time I'd refer to it as, like, home production, even though I haven't left home. I just
bedroom pop.
Yeah, bedroom pop. And I got to do a totally different style of production than I was doing with, like, my band when I was working on stuff like that.
So this was during the slightly period?
Yeah, it was during the period of, like, having this band. It was really fun, and we put it out, and our friends liked it. You know, we put it on SoundCloud, where you can just upload stuff straight to the website. And then we did another song that she wrote alone called Fingers Crossed that I produced. And as with most people who do things themselves, she was very critical of it. And I was like, this is really good. Like, we gotta do this. And I convinced her that we should put that one out. It's a great song. I'm glad we did. And then the third thing we did was this song Ocean Eyes, which was like
insane.
The genesis of that was that Billie was doing all these dance classes at the time, had a choreographer who knew that she sang and knew that I, like, made some recordings of stuff, and said, if you guys give me a song to choreograph to, I'll choreograph a dance to it. Which at the time is like all the impetus you need. You're like, done.
Oh, absolutely.
Six kids are gonna hear this.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
And so we got to do it fast because recitals are coming or whatever it is.
Right.
And so we did. We recorded the song with that in mind, and we had the kind of template of, like, okay, so this is for a choreography piece, so it's got to have enough percussion to have body movements too, but not too much that it's not interesting. If we put it in the realm of, like, 145 BPM, it's very fluid and organic, and people can move to it. I asked her to sing in a really percussive way. There's a lot of, like, glottals on her words so that the choreography can be, like, very static. And then we put it out on SoundCloud to send to her choreographer, and I had, like, the download link turned on for him. It's like, here you go. And I had been annoying a manager for the year prior about my own stuff and my band, and he'd been helping me in whatever ways he possibly could.
Sure.
And the day after the song came out, he was like, I see that you did this Ocean Eyes thing. And I was like, how did you see it? And he was like, 7 people sent it. He was like, it's on these blogs, and, like, people are really talking about it. And I still don't really know what the step from like, in my mind, like 0 to a blog was. And I'm really like close with Chad Hillard, who is the founder and owner of the website Hilly Dilly. And that's the blog that kind of broke us. And he won't tell me what, he found it on a Reddit thread. He was like, yeah, I found Ocean Eyes on a Reddit thread. And I was like, what Reddit thread? Because I was like, it's probably like a friend of mine. Like, I don't know who would have posted it. And he was like, I'm not going to tell you because it's my whole job to find new music. And I'm not going to give away my secrets. But they posted about it. And then you know what? Like, we've done a lot of like sort of youth is a kind of the wrong word. People my age that are in, you know, schools like MI or Grambling University or whatever. Sure. And at least one per class is like, how do you get your music heard? Like, how do you get your music to the top? Yeah, exactly. And I always go like, you know, like every song you love, you send to everybody that you meet. Like, it's just like the coolest part about music is that you, as soon as you love a song, it's not like you're like, share it. It's not like food. You're gonna keep it, you're gonna like share it, you know? If you have a bite of a thing that's amazing and other people are like, how is it? You're like, pretty bad. Like, because you don't wanna share your eclair or whatever you're eating. But with music, the whole joy is like, I found this song and it's so dope and you gotta hear it right now. Right. And so that was like, that's always my sort of advice. It's like, just try to make something that somebody loves so much that they play it for their mom, and their mom loves it so much that they play it for their dentist, and their dentist loves it. You know, like that's like the whole goal.
So what was the length of time between Ocean Eyes and Interscope?
From Ocean Eyes coming out to Billie signing with Interscope was November to August of the following year.
Got it.
So short in career terms, but actually long in terms of like virality. Whenever the artist's following, like I think Maggie Rogers, from the day that Pharrell video blew up to like the time she was signed was like a month. It was really fast. Right. So we really were careful, and I have to thank our managers, Danny and Brandon, for that, because they were very kind of, you know, encouraging of us really finding the right fit and meeting with everybody and not rushing into anything. Absolutely. You know, because you get offers kind of right away. As soon as like a label sees something that's already working, they're like, well, this isn't even a bad bet. This is like, we're betting on a thing that's winning. So
absolutely.
Can I ask you a couple of questions about Bad Guy?
Please.
Right before about a minute into the song, before the lead comes in, this kind of special. This is requested by three different people. And the last time she says "bad guy," what's the distortion on that?
It is a couple different things. It's the main vocal just stays. And then a lot of what I'll do for layering effects is I'll have a super processed vocal just fade in. And I'll usually fade it in with sample delay, so it feels like the vocal widens. Feels like you're listening to the thing and you feel this kind of like feeling on you. And I think it's like if I'm remembering correctly, that one is like probably an octave lower on Little Altar Boy.
I knew it. I told you it was Little Altar Boy.
Well, it's a layer of it. And then there's this Logic plugin called Vocal Transformer. And if you use the granular settings on that and then tweak it like crazy, and it's always different. There's no kind of like exact science on that thing. It just depends on what the timbre of that line that you're processing is.
That was great.
It gets this really like rattly, like fan, like it turns into this like crazy tremolator effect.
And secondly, the inspiration for the half tempo at the end of the song, like you fade on the half tempo, not back to the full tempo.
So, she should be really proud of this, and I think she is. The whole impetus for having a song called Bad Guy was the crazy crushed 808. As soon as I was starting to work with Billie, I got her an identical setup to what I had and put it in her room. Gave her a MIDI keyboard, gave her Yamaha speakers that I use, gave her, you know, Logic and any plugins I thought she would like. And just on like some stock Logic plugin, she played like the long, like the 808 with a really long tail. And it just was like, and then like a trap hi-hat pattern that I think she played by hand. It's like probably not even quantized, which is sick.
Oh, that's so cute.
And I loved it. But the thing that was awesome about it was that she had put her Yamaha speakers and her sub on shelves of a vanity set. And so it was like it was like just the most rattly, chaotic thing. And that was the vibe. Like that was cool. When she bounced the beat out to give it to me, it was super clean and it, wasn't like.
So you had to have the rattle.
So I had to like really work on like listening to it in her room, like all crazy, and then taking it to my room and putting headphones on and like trying to get it to the same place so that it would translate. Part of the way that I did that was like just crushed the 808 with like adaptive limiters and compressors and clip distortion and then the other part was that there's live bass mirroring it that's panned with like a lot of fuzz on it. But that beat that she made and the line of the outro, I came home one day and she had that. She did
the beat for Bad Guy?
She did the like the
halftime
outro beat.
Yeah, it's good.
And I added a lot of like sort of like that sort of Dilla like the weird swung stuff on it. But the idea was so there. And she was whispering, "I'm a bad guy," which I was like, that is the dopest thing I've ever, like, I was just so stoked.
You guys make a great team.
I love her. And that was cool. But we had no idea because all we had was that. And we were just like, well, this is great. But it was one of those things where you're like, how do we not like make this less valuable by adding another 3 minutes to it? Sometimes something's like just great if it's 40 seconds, you know? And so way later, like a year later, I had that like kick pattern and then the like bum, ba-na-na, bum, bum, ba-ba-na, bum. And we wrote the verses. We were like, that's cool. We got to where the hook would be and we were like, well, this is also, I'm the bad guy. That's what we're writing about here. And then I think she was like, let's just put my whole thing on the end of it. And I was like, hell yeah. Like that's so cool. And it makes it more interesting and unique. And it means we don't have to throw that away.
Something that's kind of special is your love for your sister. It really comes through, doesn't it, Herb?
Well, like, both personally and musically.
Yeah.
That's
a beautiful thing.
And there's a trust both ways. Like
absolutely.
Billie's trust in you as her brother it's
pretty bomb.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And so what it feels to me is like they get to be fearless with each other.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
Which probably translates on stage too.
Yeah.
Live we have so much, especially right now where just like our shows we're just having so much fun. And
plus
like,
you have your whole family out, right?
Yeah, we have mom and dad are on tour with us. Mom is there doing like some amount of day-to-day management and also just like sort of personal assistant work because it's such a full-time job to be like a performer in Billie's case that like some mornings she just needs somebody to like be going and grabbing her like a breakfast sandwich or whatever it is because she's having to do an interview and now she's at the point where she's doing like Make-A-Wish sessions and stuff, which it's full time. And
your dad's a carpenter.
And our dad has this background in carpentry and he's a great handyman and so we call him Set Carp. He helps build our sets every day.
Amazing.
Which is awesome. He's great. And then we just get to hang, and whenever you have a day off and you're in somewhere like that you might not otherwise find yourself in, like Boise, Idaho.
Absolutely. Good
you're
to
with
have
your
family.
whole family and you've like, our mom's really good at finding interesting stuff. We were in Boise like a month ago on an off day and she was like, there's like an eagle rehabilitation like sanctuary in Boise.
Gotta go.
I was like, let's go. Like, what else are we doing today?
Absolutely.
Sounds great.
Absolutely. That is just.
It's pretty awesome.
That is really, really amazing. So, as it sits here now, choices. It must be, there's a sorting process, right?
I guess so. I think the benefit is that it's also fun and because we're, sort of actively working together and also because the nature of the Billie sort of career thus far includes this EP called Don't Smile at Me, which is 8 songs, which is like a really long EP. And then the album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, which is 14 track titles. Really, it's 12 songs with sort of an outro and an intro track. But the EP was long enough, and the EP had Ocean Eyes, which was like sort of from the beginning this kind of like lauded thing for us.
Yes.
And like the one to beat. That felt like the debut record. So all the like sophomore slump stuff that I think people are now looking at me like, and I'm like, we already
passed
sophomore
that.
Was the most recent thing.
Right, exactly.
I'm like, now we get to make the difficult third album.
Exactly, where you can be artistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's absolutely a great observation.
But it's funny, like, I'm actively like really excited about what we're coming up with. But it's also like, I try to keep it really day to day with creativity. And I'm friends with a label head named David Massey, who ran Island for a long time, is now running Arista Records.
Yep.
I think he calls it Arista.
Yeah, of course. English.
He's the best. But I met with him back in August, or I guess October of last year, just to hang. And he was like, the day that Billie's album comes out, I think it's gonna be a really interesting day for you, gonna be what you're thinking about. And I was like, album 2, motherfucker. Like that's the whole deal. It's like you make the next, like when I go back to like the way that I felt about music, like the first day I wanted to make music, it was like, I wanna make some music that pays for itself, and then I get to make more music. Like studio time as a high schooler is like a lot of money.
Big deal.
You're like, I want to make something that pays for the 6 days it took to record these drums, and then we'll make more. And so that to me is like the whole liberation of the way that Billie and I operate. I think is we're like, cool, we get to make more music now. People liked it.
What do we have to look forward to from Phineas, the solo artist?
I'm putting out an EP in I think like the first week of October, and I'm really excited about it. It's the first sort of tangible.
Are the songs written?
The songs are written. They're somewhat recorded, and there'll probably be like 1 or 2 re-releases on it, but there'll definitely be more new content than re-releases.
Fabulous.
I always get bummed out when people they're like, "Here's my record," and you're like, "I've heard this album."
Right, yeah.
You know,
It's 5 songs for EP.
right? Exactly. Yeah. So there'll be more new stuff, but the reason I want to put 1 or 2 re-releases on it is it'll be on vinyl and stuff, and nothing of mine has ever lived tangibly.
Let us know when it comes out.
And there's a request too.
What's the request?
The request is that sometime soon, whenever your creative process allows, do something with horns.
Horns. I really want to do something with horns.
I want you to do
Did
something
you
with
request
horns.
this? Great.
It's me.
Yeah.
Great idea.
I'm sure you do. Do you have like a horn guy I should talk to? Okay.
Got a couple.
Because I don't have a friend who plays horns.
We can talk. We can go.
Please, yeah.
Billie
and I love horns.
And with your arrangement
Thanks,
and
man.
your harmony thing, horns would be dangerous.
Have
and
you-
if you want to be funky, I'm okay with that too. Because here's what's interesting. You know, when I was going through the SoundCloud stuff, SoundCloud has their own categories of things.
Yeah.
And there was one song you had that they called Dark Croon.
Dark Croon was a label given to me by a producer named Justin Raisin, who is a mystical and fantastic wizard of a man who is always talking about like machines taking over. He's one of those guys.
Gotcha.
Which I love about him. But he is always on one. And I played him a song of mine, and he was like, "This is some Dark Croon magic, man." And I was like, "Dark Croon," but I loved it.
Well, if you take part of that word before we get ready for a batter's box, but you know, crooner is a unique space there, you know, in history and currently, and to be a crooner, that's a gift. You know, most crooners are you know, born, not made.
Oh yeah,
you know, like it takes and when you listen to your music, the crooning stuff is just so.
Thanks, man.
Natural.
Thanks, man.
And it embodies, you know, crooning embodies being a front person and soulfulness and emotive lyrics.
I do always wear a suit live. I'm always in a suit.
Oh no, you have a whole kind of
thing.
English Brit 60s, you know, suit thing that's really cool.
That.
No, it's
so fun to get to like get a bunch of, because you get to, I think if you're like shopping for a suit that has to work at like weddings and funerals, you have to get like a black suit.
Right.
But I do every show in a suit. And so I'll go to like a thrift store and get a suit, and I'll get like a crazy like floral or a white linen suit. I get to get like really goofy with it.
Speaking of crazy, did I see you in some onesies?
I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, so Billie has a very clear vision artistically and always puts me and our drummer Andrew in get-ups live. And so we're in it's not quite a onesie right now.
It's a onesie.
Well, there's pants. The onesie zips up but I was in a jumpsuit before that. And
but the fact that you know the definition of a onesie.
I've been in onesie.
Construction.
I've been in onesies.
We probably all have, but we just didn't remember. All right, batter's box, sir. You quick, easy, knock his head off. Don't be gentle. What's that?
He's getting like that.
No, just a squint. No, it's a focus. It's like it's like I'm in the batter's box.
Challenging.
And look, don't get it twisted with Phineas or Billie. They're competitive. It looks easy, but they like winning.
Is batter's box a thing that you can win or lose, or is it just interesting?
Just interesting.
Great.
Just interesting. And then he loses.
Well, I'm polite, so I let the guest win.
Fire away.
Tempo.
120.
Guitar.
Noodler.
Reverb.
Lots.
Virtual synth.
All.
Lyrics.
Important.
Accordion. No, I'm just trying to throw you off.
Exciting.
Piano.
Vital.
Song key.
C.
808.
Everything.
Harmonies.
All of them.
Loops.
Derivative.
The cheapest piece of gear you used on a record we might know.
Xylophone.
Like a little toy one or something?
Yeah. There's a song Billy's called Party Favor. And that was a really fun one to produce. That one, that was like a high concept song. We were just like strumming around and I was like, it'd be cool to write a breakup song. And I was like, it'd be cool to write a breakup song that's like a voicemail. Like you're breaking up with someone and you have to do it like within the time of their leave a message, bloop, and you have to break up with them. And I was like, what if it was just for fun? I was like, what if you're breaking up with them on their birthday? And so then you have all of the parameters and you just gotta kind of hit them and make them rhyme. And then once it was written, production-wise, the first minute I recorded, I have one of those 1/8" to stereo things, just ran it into my thing from my phone, recorded myself calling my friend's voicemail, asked if I could use his actual answering machine.
Oh, cool.
And then filtered Billy's voice until it felt like a voicemail. And then faded in sort of the high def version under that as the chorus came in. And then all of the chorus instruments are kazoos and xylophones. And there's a mellotron on that one. Mellotron, no, a melodica. I use mellotrons on everything, but melodicas are the little blow into it, and play it. Yeah. Those are so fun.
You did that in school back then.
Right, exactly, yeah. And you have a weird tube.
Yeah, exactly.
Feels like a hospital instrument.
Absolutely.
But that was fun. That was it was one of two songs I didn't let anyone mix because I was I would have to work on this for 4 days because I had mixed the master basically. You know what I mean? I'd done all this filtering to the mix and then had it all bloom out. And at the time, now I could probably do it in a way that is less destructive and give it to Dave and he'd do a better job of it. But at the time I was it would be such a pain for me to have to sit with somebody for 5 days to do this.
And before we get out of here, speaking of mixers, shout outs to Rob Kanelski.
Yeah, I love Rob Kanelski so much. And he called me after the album was out to just talk for a little bit. And he was like, yeah, I just did Pensado's Place. And I was like, I'm so jealous. I was like, I love Pensado's Place. I've watched that forever. And he was like, do you want me to hook you up with Herb? And I was like, yeah.
And he did.
And he's so good. And he's a real do no harm mixer. And he's super fast. And then he comes up with some really good ideas.
Creative ideas.
Yeah,
yes.
Bad Guy is a really good example. He did a little vocal stutter on the end of that. In the outro, there's that.
Yep.
And he just snuck that in. He asks me before a song
he talked about
do you want me to
that on
get
the
creative? And I'm like, well, yeah, if you have any idea. And he did that, and I just was like, this is great.
Yeah,
nice work.
Let's roll with it.
Yeah.
And then who do you use for your stuff?
For my stuff, I use in tandem Rob Kanelski and a mixer named Justin Herget, who's affiliated with Tony Maserati.
Oh, cool.
You're kind of getting Tony at a assistance rate.
We do some of that on our side too.
He'll be charging, way too much in a year.
Very soon, absolutely.
But he deserves it. He's really good.
Shout outs to those guys. Also shout out to your management team who's been really incredible.
Yeah, we're lucky to have them.
We were thrilled to be able to get you, but it was not just because we were able to get you. It's just because we both had this individual reaction to your talent.
That's so cool. That's just crazy cool.
And it's even cooler for us.
Thanks, man.
It's nice to interview people that you can admire, but also be fans of. So
thanks, man.
Just keep pushing, stay fearless for us. I hope you don't. And, come back anytime. We're happy to have you. One of the things, and we don't generally do this, that I'll bother management about is if you're in town or you guys are doing a live show, there's a few folks on our team who would love to come.
Great.
So I'll just hit Danny and Sam. Those
whenever
guys.
We're playing a show in town again, I'll hit you guys up. We'll figure it out.
All right, cool. We'll work it out. Been a pleasure. Dave,
thanks, guys.
Why don't you take us home?
Couple of things. There's so many cliches that I was thinking about trying to figure out within 30 seconds how to end this. The good guys do win, you know? And sometimes it's okay to meet your heroes. They do come through with the expectations that you had of them. And both those things are true today with Phineas. And I use this saying that he's one of us, and he truly is one of us. And that's the highest compliment I can give you.
My goodness.
And just keep going. We need you. That's what you're doing is refreshing. It's taking music in a whole new level.
Absolutely.
And the genre should be named the Phineas genre. It's really good stuff, what you're doing.
Maybe after I die.
Yeah. No, keep it up, my friend. And
Thanks,
so much blessings towards you.
This was such a treat. Really appreciate it. Thank you both so much.
Our pleasure. We had so much fun. I could see it in Herb's face. It was just fun.
No, it's exciting.
See you next time.